Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host, and I'd like to ask you, how are we, you, us, evolving? Where are we going? Doesn't it look great? Isn't this evolution really cool? It's like being on a magic carpet? Or maybe not. Maybe it's all talk. Maybe it feels like we're going backwards. So how are we evolving, and what is this time that we're in that we need to know about to maybe help us evolve? So to help us do that is a guest who is an evolution thinker, guide, helper, and her website is empathevolution.com. So I'm so happy to talk to Michelle Howe about evolution. Michelle, welcome to Energy Stew.
Hi. Well, thank you. It's nice to be here, Peter.
Well, I'm so glad we could look at where our hopes should be, or where we should put our efforts in this time of great confusion, great unhappiness in the world. Nothing makes sense. And it's upsetting a lot of people. So what does it all mean?
I'm listening to you to describe. Nothing makes sense. It's very upsetting. Where should we be focused? Okay, so depending on who you talk to, right? What you're listening to, what you're believing in, you're going to get a different sense of where we're at and what's happening. Like you're going to connect to that feeling, that story, that truth. Not to say that there isn't problems in the world, because there are problems, definitely. And right now, the world is going through a dark night of the soul. I have been through a dark night of the soul. You have been. I teach people, I guide people through that dark night of the soul. What happens when you're on a collective level? Everyone's going through, like, countries are going through this, the people in those, so as a totality, we're all confronting darkness.
In
And
some way, right.
yeah, well, and we're going to look at this darkness and we think it belongs out here to everybody. We see it. Look at what's happening there. Look at that. Then look at this. My job is to bring us all to look and shift what's happening inside ourselves so that we aren't adding to that darkness and negativity that's already there. We're not blind to it. We see it, but we know that this is all part and parcel of shifting. Like the only way we can know to change something is when we're not comfortable with it. It's not working. We now see all of the darkness that's there. Wow, we need new solutions. So it's not to blame anything or anyone. It's like almost like if you look at it from macro to micro, like within our own families. Our own families have darkness in them. It's been carried down through generations, right? Do we blame our family for what they did or they didn't do and what came into our world because of who they are? Or do we look at it and say, guess what? I got this garbage here sitting here. All this needs to be cleaned up. And I have the wherewithal to clean it up.
Well, we might not feel empowered because if we're in the dark night of our soul, we don't know where the flashlight is to
Okay.
let any light in it.
Well given. So on a collective level, we are never going to understand all the interplays, the what, the where, the why. And we have to be really careful how much we buy into, feed into, and propagate the negative that's there. It's a responsibility because we're sharing either good or bad. We're like, and I'll give you this example, like every single stitch of things, like we all have our own identity, but now we join this group or we join that group or this momentum or that momentum. You can lose your own freedom of thought because all of a sudden now it's not just your thought, it's you're tuning into this other collective thought that everything is so good or everything is so bad. And these people are like this and these people are like that. We have to be really careful because if you really want to step into your evolution, you're not helping yourself. You're just joining a group, a group think mindset. The idea is the people that are a little more seasoned, the people that are a little bit more along the way mature souls understand that we have a lot of power within ourselves. And when we shift what's going on and what we radiate out like a radio antenna, we shift more people than we realize. We're connected to soul families. We're shifting systematically. And yes, I went through my dark night of the soul 10, 15 years ago now, right? Took me 3, 4 years to get through that dark night of the soul. But today, when I look at people going through their dark night of the soul, or even the country that's going through all this heaviness and people are feeling it, the empaths that are definitely aware that they're feeling things, these are so bad. What do we do? What do you do is you take stock of where you are at, and what you're going to tune into because you don't want to feed into that frequency and propagate it more. You want to shift, like almost up level the way you're looking at it and the way you're experiencing it. So you know the experience is there, but it's a rite of passage. We have to go through this stuff. People have to get uncomfortable to change. Nobody's going to change anything. Nothing will change unless we can see it.
But what if we're already uncomfortable?
Okay, so if you're already uncomfortable, I would recommend that you move towards comfortable, which means move towards separating yourself from this collective out here, seeing yourself and your mission, not from oh, I'm this little human that's living this little life, and this is happening, and then that's happening, and this is horrible, and that's horrible, to the world. What does the world need from me at this point? It needs leadership. It needs hope. It needs guidance. It needs me to be an example to what that guidance can look like. So what I hold, who I am, can give them something to say, ooh, I think I'm going to be just like, I'm going to change it. I'm going to tweak what I think to this because this
That's
is more.
it's interesting. I went through that when I was in my early 30s. I was in a very dark place. And I really thought very little of myself because of the misfortune I had come through. And I didn't know what to do. I looked around at all these happier people and more successful people. And I said, what are they doing that I'm not doing?
Mm.
And I said to myself, I think it's the way I'm holding it. I think I'm seeing myself as too, uh, too small. That I don't give myself any credit because I've just been through some really bad experiences in life that have brought me way down. And what can I do now? And I said, I'm just going to change the story about me. I'm not going to be the same person anymore. Now I'm going to be this really happy, strong. I mean, I was making it up. I'm going to be, you know, successful and smart, and I'm just going to change the tune. And I had no idea what that meant to do. But all of a sudden I felt that I was a new person that was ready to be different. And all of a sudden I had people showing up offering me opportunities in life that changed my life completely to the better, and still have. I mean, I'm still a product of that moment of changing my reality so that the gifts flowed in ways that I never could have expected. So I couldn't have controlled it. I couldn't have tried to make myself a better person.
No.
I only could say that I'm just going to be a better person. I don't know what it takes. I don't know what to do, but I'm no longer going to be that sad sack who's unhappy and feels like a failure. I'm now the opportunity
Yeah.
of a great future. And to say that was so life-changing.
So 2 points about what you just said.
Okay.
Huge points. When we vocalize aloud what we are, no, what we, not what we don't want, but what we do want. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that. When we hear that voice and that tone, and there is a determination behind it, I'm going to do something, even if it's not like you're not banging your head, your fist on the
Yeah,
on
I made up
the.
my mind. I'm no longer
It
that
is a
sad sack.
yeah. It is a decision that you made along the way that this is no longer acceptable for me. I've got to do something different.
Yeah.
So, in a lot of what I teach and what I present, eh, feeling how you feel, you have to keep that certain level of happiness and hopefulness in your life. Otherwise, you're just always heavy. It's always dark. It's always too much. It's always um, annoying, frustrating. It didn't work. Like you have to keep a certain level of feeding yourself that certain level of joy.
But there was some reason that I had to go through the dark night. And so
Yep.
because I always was trying to be a good person and do well and be happy, but I kept on getting smacked up in unexpected ways because I was with people and environments that just kept bringing me down, and I was letting it. And so I decided. I guess what I decided was to believe in myself more.
Good point.
Now,
Yes.
even though I thought I did, but
Yeah.
it was letting people, um, you know, strangle me in ways that,
So I want to, so all of this is an education. It's an awakening. None of us know all these things. We weren't born knowing all these things. Some of us are moving through each experience. All of us actually are moving through experiences that hopefully bring us to a point of humility and a point of raw honesty and reveal who we really are. So you had a choice. You could have been an angry, negative. Life is for this, and life is giving me this bunch of lemons, and now I got like you could have, or you could have shifted the way you did. This is no longer happening to me.
yeah.
I didn't see this or this. I'm gonna be this other way. This
But I
is how.
didn't know what next step to take. And a lot of people feel that way. It's like, yeah, I want to be like that too, but I don't know what to do next.
So I'm gonna give you an idea what to do next.
Good.
On your own, what to do next sometimes is gonna feel like, well, I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. I don't know. So at this point where you're like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, your brain's like, well, I don't know. Everything is horrible. This is this, like you can only write, but you have to get yourself in a place where you're quiet enough to get to the raw truth of what is next for you and what's possible for you. Like almost like sometimes I've done this with many of my clients. I want you to write out all this garbage that's in your head, get it out. Let me see you get it out because otherwise it's just kind of festering in your mind and in your body. Get it out, rev it all up, and then let it just kind of, now you've got nothing, like you're prepared. You prepared this session where you're letting everything rise up. You're letting everything out on a piece of paper. And then there is a point where you're going to surrender that. Do I really want this for me? Is this really what defines me? Is this really who I am? I got these lemons. All right. I'm going to keep going because life begets life. You're going to keep going. How am I going to do this different? What is my next best step? So you ask and you listen, and you may not get exactly what it is, but now I want you to tune into what does it feel like when you're in that space where everything is a little quiet and where you feel a little freer. And then if I can really bring my memory, my remembrance to what it feels like to be more expansive, to be more empowered, to be more genuine and soft and loving. Now you ask for what you want. What is my next step? Okay, I will keep looking for my next step. I will find this next step, or the next step will find me. You ask for what you want. I want a next step. Okay. Or can you please bring someone in to mentor me? Or I'm looking for these jobs, whatever that next step is, I'm looking for a job. What should I look for a job for? So it's engaging yourself in conversation, because you've got a little you and a higher you. The little you only sees maybe the negative, maybe you see an option or two, maybe you see no options at all. But there's always a plan. There's always options. There's always potentials. And if we only could enlist creativity, like open up the floodgates and open yourself up to what's possible for you, things will start showing up in your world. The moment you open yourself up to that possibility.
Right. Serendipity and synchronicity can happen
Yes.
if we surrender to it. And the idea is just to, the old Zen theme of called Wu Wei, WUWEI, means just take care of what's in front of your face and let the universe take care of everything else.
Well, and at the end of the day, how much do we control? I mean, how much do we control? You eat food, it goes into your body. Do you control how your body's going to navigate that? You're trusting your body to take care of it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So we can't really control anything so much as, that's why serendipity and synchronicity are important to appreciate, because that's where the only control we have is to surrender to that. Because if everything is in divine order, then we have to let the divine order show us the way and
So
follow it.
I agree with everything you said. I want to add something to it. Surrender, divine order. When you start really connecting to what your spirit, what you came here to do, what your next step is to do, what your heart is telling you is possible, it doesn't mean you step back and you do nothing. You are still taking action. Like you want to be in that action mode, but surrendering this or better, this or better, this or better, like almost just open to what comes, but you're seeking what's seeking you, you're seeking it.
Right.
Like you're moving into it.
Like in human design, the human design system, for many of us, we're designed to think that stirring our pot is the way to make life work. And we have this motor in us that wants to keep stirring the pot. And every day we say, how can I stir the pot better to make life work better? But
Right.
the theme of that is frustration, because we're trying to be manifestors, but we're only stirring a pot, and the pot doesn't work so well. But what I say is that we're indirect manifestors. We're in stirring the pot, we're giving the universe our intention, and then the universe actually provides a good result for us that might not look at all like we're intending. It might come out of left field in ways that we don't expect, and all of a sudden it's even better than what we're asking for.
You're talking about trust.
Yes.
Trusting that when our intention, when we are own what we are hoping, when we own the direction of where we're going. Like if we're going in a negative direction, more of negative adds up. When you go towards a positive direction, meaning at least your mind's like you have to see the potential for good in your life and you start manifesting that potential for good. Did you directly do it? Did you indirectly do it? The universe works, it kind of amplifies whatever energy you put in, it's going to amplify it.
But for people who've been slammed to the mat too many times or too ferociously,
Yep.
it's hard to get up and have those,
Have that.
optimistic, yeah.
So if you've been slammed and you feel like you've been beat down and you're working so hard, okay, I would advise you to stop. Just stop. Stop trying to do something that's not working for you.
Well, let's just say that you already know it doesn't work because you've been slammed and you're just trying to find your way in a new world that might be better for you.
So what you do in that situation, which you're kind of, this is new territory. I don't know what to do. What should I do? What can I do? You start engaging and talking and looking and observing, taking, like, you don't have the answer right then and there. So you have to be in a search and discovery mode to see what else is possible for you. What else is possible for me? What else is wanting me to fill that space?
But then to
Like,
also trust the periphery. In other words, life comes out of left field, and
yeah.
don't keep looking in your pot for the result that you think you're stirring for, and let life surprise you with what you can't even expect.
Well, no, you can't. You can't know what you don't know. The universe is way too big for you to know. The only thing that you can absolutely control is how you intend to move through it. Even if it's hard times, how you intend to move through this. And then even then, accepting when you lose it. You know what I mean? There may be times you lose it.
Right, but I love that. Because I think that reflects what I was believing back then, is that who is this person who is expecting life to change, and it's somebody who feels worthy.
Mhm.
And I felt worthy. I just didn't know how to describe it because I'd been such a failure before that. And
Through
then
through the eyes that we're looking at you being a failure. Okay, so it's a big word to be a failure.
yeah,
That I failed, right? But there is some compassionate, loving side of you that's not beating you down. Like,
yeah.
hey, stop beating me down. I
It
did
was-
the best I could do. Like, we
yeah,
don't know what, like, we all go through things that are just completely out of left field. Why did this happen? So the moments that, like, in the midst of it, you're going to be angry, upset. You're going to feel like you got slighted, you this, and this. But when that kind of calms down a little bit, wow, did I learn a lot? Wow, did I change a lot? Like, if I was going in this direction, I just got hit. I'm going this direction now. Like, it completely can redirect. And from our standpoint, we may not see why. We may think it's a bad thing. But what if it's exactly what needs to happen?
yeah, and it was only a direction of trust. It wasn't a direction of knowing a direction. I couldn't control anything.
No, no. You don't control moving parts around you. You only, I've had different situations where, it didn't seem like this worked out in my favor. Oh, why did this door get slammed? And that, I'm like, well, maybe that's not my door. Maybe that's not where I'm supposed to go. So why am I getting so upset because what I think in my head isn't isn't manifesting? Maybe that's not for you. So instead of pushing for that to be for you, like one of my clients, my gosh, she was in the school district. She worked and she was very creative, very empathic, all this great stuff, but it was draining her. It was ripping her apart for many different reasons. Her life was falling apart. So she kept trying to keep it together. I'm just going to try and keep this all together. What do I have to do next? Like, it was, I don't say insane, but it was a lot for her. And at the end of the day, I'm like, why are you trying to keep something together that is doing nothing but make you miserable every second of the way? Like, so I look at it and I don't know if this is 100%, but this is how I've always done it. I go the way that opens up for me. I don't go up that hill. I go with the water, with the way. And if it doesn't go that way, and I'm not supposed to go that way,
Right,
I'm going this way. And I
right,
can't, as much as I am, I would say a controlled person in some ways as well. I get it. I want to go where I want to go. I'm still keeping that I want to go, but I don't control the currents. Like if the currents really got me geared in that direction and I'm trying to go this other one, well, I should have thought of that before maybe, but you know what? Because I trust the universe and I trust where I'm going and I trust that feeling, there's something here I need to discover. I need to look at. There's
right.
something here I'm learning and I didn't screw up in the past. I mean, I've certainly done my share of things. I didn't screw up. I did what I knew how to do till I learned or I saw that's not the smartest thing, Michelle.
No,
You should not be doing it that way. You could do it this other way. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, so a lot of times I see people and they're like, they feel bad. They feel bad about their actions. They feel bad about what they did do, what they didn't do, how they should have done it better and could have done it better. And then I go, wait a minute. Do you really think that on purpose you would try to make yourself miserable? Do you really think that you would have done something to sabotage yourself along the way on purpose? Like all along the way, we only do what we know how to do. We don't
right.
actually know something different until what we're doing isn't working anymore.
So what I'm getting out of this is to appreciate your own goodwill, to always believe in yourself that you want the best, and then just surrender to let the universe show up for you in ways that we don't expect. We're really at the end of the show now. And so, Michelle Howe, and you're at empathevolution.com. And it's so wonderful to talk with you. And it'd be nice if we could just keep the show going for another hour or two. So thank you so much for being an Energy Stew.
My pleasure.
And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter@heartriver, HEART, river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.